All right, everyone, let's do a brief audio and visual check. How's everybody doing? Make sure everything's working okay. Make sure it's working. Give me just a few seconds, get everything set up. First time turning in, Bernie? Sure. Audio's good, video's good. So let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, in the YouTube chat, there is our top step risk disclosure. Everything that I go over is for educational purposes only. It's not financial advice. It's not a signals class. So let's take a look. Let's go through a brief market review. Do the first 30 minutes tonight. It's an hour long. First 30 minutes, we'll do a market analysis, the rapid fire, Nasdaq and gold. See if there's any trade setups. Have some conversation. And then the second half, we are going to be doing what I have announced, what we did the poll last week, and what I announced this week, which is going to be, let me pull it up here, just kind of that strategy builder week, right? The strategy building, looking at going through how to build a strategy step by step through on slow markets. I'm going to do it each night, starting tonight. Yes, Jeff Prow. I think I pronounced that right, but Jeff, yeah, I'm going to dedicate 30 minutes every night, starting tonight, on building a strategy. We're going to start it from the very beginning, scratch, right? Concept, idea, and then putting it in black and white on paper, document, PDF document. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm excited. This is going to be fun, and hopefully we'll have like a PDF at the end of this, at the end of the week. Maybe I could share it, and I would highly recommend maybe you could just follow along and do it on your own, right? Because I'm going to be doing it through this, and I would highly encourage everyone to do it on their own if you have a strategy that you're working on, or if you want to like customize it towards your own. I think that would be highly recommended for my opinion. Confirming which 30 minutes? The last 30 minutes, Byron. The last 30 minutes today, the first 30 minutes. We already started, right? We already started. I'm going to go through a rapid fire. We're going to take a look at the Nasdaq, gold, see if there's any trade setups, talk about news, talk about this upcoming week, and then we're going to start jumping into the strategy session, which would be the last 30 minutes here of slow markets. Sounds great. Did a lot of back testing on my updated start over this week. I'm so excited. Good. It's new week. New opportunities every single week. New week. That's one of the beautiful things about trading. You could take a loss, you could struggle. You guys get to see me go through my losses. You get to see me go through struggles. The nice thing is, you go to bed, you wake up, and it's a brand new day. Sometimes you start from where you were. Sometimes you've made money yesterday, but the markets don't care. The markets don't care where you're starting from. The markets will always, move the way that they move. There will always be opportunities, and that's one thing that I've fallen in love with these markets, right? It doesn't matter where you're at, where you're from around the world, who you are, what gender, race, color, anything. These markets are a thing of beauty, that's for sure. So let's take a look at this. This is the Nasdaq daily, and buy the dip. Is that what this is? Oh man, I had one heck of a week last week, but look at this. Who remembers this from Thursday and what I've been referring to last week? We have a sell-off. That sell-off, we got that 2 days worth of a sell-off, which we did in July 30th. We had some consolidation, sold off. And, honestly, sure, someone could say it was Jerome Powell, it was this, it was that. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what caused this bounce. I'm looking at from a pure technical standpoint of, who knows what was behind this. We could have that conversation, but ultimately we had a sell-off, and it was buy the dip, and then guess what? We had another sell-off, and it was more of the same, right? Buy the dip. So far, so good. We had that nice pullback, that nice sell-off down to this level of 23,000, 60s, 50s in this zone, right about here. which we bounced off before. We bounced off. It was a nice level of resistance as well. So, sure enough, we bounced off of that. And where can we see this market going? I'm not sure. It's a little bit difficult to tell on the daily. I mean, as you can imagine, maybe we look for a pullback by the dips. Can we get back to all-time highs? Maybe. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. I mean, what else? What is there? Like, take a look at that huge bullish candle from Friday. I mean, a breakout. Like, that's all there is. Just a nice solid breakout. And now we kind of get this flagging pattern, right? This flagging pattern, bullish flagging pattern. Typically these patterns like this, they continue to go in the direction that the market had the momentum on. Some targets I'm looking at here in the Nasdaq is going to be up here towards this resistance level. These 700s, 720s, 710, there's some nice resistance there. You can see that there was support and resistance here at these 600s. Sure enough, we came up and we hit it. So, can this market, continue to sell back off? Sure, right? We never know. There's no certainty in this market. We can't guarantee this market's going to go up or down. So this market could very well, pull back and sell off, or we could just continue up, right? We do not know. All we know is where price has been, where price has went to, reversed, how long price has been at these levels. So I'm watching this level. Obviously, we got up to this lower 600. It was support back what, August 11th. You can see there was some resistance, some hesitation around that. So it makes sense that we did run into resistance at that level. We're consolidating. So if we break out to the long side, then I'm going to be looking for this market to come up and maybe test these 730s. 730s. I mean, there's an argument. Look how much resistance was here back throughout August as well. Major resistance. This is a zone. Look how much price has stayed around these 700s. And so that's definitely a big zone. I wouldn't be surprised if we do start to break out. Market could be like a magnet, right? 23,700s. That's the first upside target. And the downside targets, it's going to be very similar, right? I'm going to look at these levels of support and resistance, saying if we do get a pullback, maybe we could get to these 440s, look for maybe a buying opportunity there, right? Buy the dip. And then if not, we could come back down to these 360s, and maybe could that turn into an opportunity to buy. Now, whenever I say 360, it's more of a zone, right? I can make an argument to say it could be 360 down to, I don't know, 340. These are all zones. There's nothing exact in this market. And when I'm going to be reviewing the strategy, right, the strategy that we're going to be doing the second half, that's going to be something that we could put in, right? Well, we don't have exact levels, so maybe that's something we can put into our playbook or our rules, or we could write down just, oh, guess what? Even though this is the support and resistance zones, maybe we could buy when we first get to the zone, or buy when we start to get out of the zone. There's so many different ways to approach these markets. That's what I'm seeing in the Nasdaq. Kind of just a flagging pattern, consolidation. Someone shouted out Dorito. Yeah, a little bit of both, right? A little bit of both. Not sure. All we could do is just watch and find out, follow our strategy. Let's take a look. Now let's take a look at gold. We have 20 minutes left. Let's take a look at this gold. Where's the gold at? Show me the gold. Now, gold was the trade of the month for me. Trade of the month for me was this gold trade. If you tuned in, who was it? Last Thursday night. If you were watching Thursday night, you know exactly what I mean. Who was in the chat? Who was in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about. I held some long gold into the Jackson Hole Pals. Yeah, Jeff. Yeah. I held a pretty decent sized position. Of course, the notional value is a lot different than what we're used to, right? Notional value, $4.7 million, which it just sounds crazy when you start talking about notional value in these futures markets, right? Because it's much greater than what we're used to dealing with because we trade on margin. And so I had an absolute amazing day, almost $30,000 on this. I talked about it on Slow Markets Thursday. We did get a bit of a pullback before we got that huge rally. So it's kind of story of my life in trading, right? Is I was right. I was just a little early, right? That's kind of how it goes. Like, man, I was early. But overall, I was looking for this market to my stop loss. My main stop loss was down below this August 19th low. So looking for this market to hold at least below that. So it came pretty dang close. Anyway, my analysis was I got in around this level. My stop loss was down there, and I had my take profit at 420s. I talked about this in Slow Markets. Like, here's my entry, right? Stop loss, take profit. And yeah, I as soon as I got in, we got that pullback. I fell asleep, right? This is overnight. This is the beautiful thing about these futures. You could go to sleep. These markets can move. London session, London Open, right? Euro session. Aaron, he runs the London Open, D, during the Euro session. And yeah, we had Powell come in, had that speech, and this market just pumped straight up to these 420s. And that was a picture perfect type trade. This is a good example of technical analysis and having a wide stop, not over leveraging. I don't know. But yeah, that was the trade of the month for me on that gold. And we basically broke out. Like, this is a very solid and a very strong breakout here on gold. So could this be a trend, a change in trend, a change in momentum here in gold? So my next question is, do we look for some type of a pullback, look to get long, and then look for a continuation up higher? I think that's what I'm going to be going for here in gold, where we know how gold can be very structured sometimes, especially when it's rallying. I'm not going to zoom out any further than this, but let's take a look at what happened earlier. Last time we seen anything like this, it was not very long ago. It was the 1st of August. This was the very 1st of August, right? Where, look at that, big candle, lots of momentum, lots of buying. And then after that, we seen very nice structure, very nice higher lows, higher highs. So this is what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for some type of good structure to come into this gold market, look for buying the dip opportunities. Maybe we can see something like that where we could have gold start to find some structure, buyers stepping in, and yeah, maybe more. And now, who knows? Anything could change. News headlines could come out at any moment and change everything. But as of tonight, as of right now, that's what I'm going to be looking for. Not much else is going on any of these other time frames. Looking at this hourly chart, looking at the 5-minute chart, zooming in, maybe we're starting to get that pullback, right? Sold off a little bit down to these 34.10. Maybe we could come down and test around 3,400 level. You can see where we had some resistance there, 33,000 or 3,400. Maybe we could go test that. That's a possibility. We are starting to push lower. We do have 15 minutes to the top of the hour, but we are going to be hopping into the strategy session here in a moment. So let's get to some questions. Let's open it up. Let's get to some questions before we go over to the strategy session. And I start that. What I'm going to do is I'll pull up a Google Sheet, and we're going to talk through it, create it from scratch, and I think that's how it's going to be. That event was a bit odd. It was rumor of gold tariff. Martin, regardless of the events, I was looking at technicals and I was looking at Powell. I'm happy that they mentioned a possibility increase the percentage of having interest rate cuts. Everything worked out. NQ, the market is now shifting from bearish, neutral to bullish bias as long as price holds above. Edwin, to me, Nasdaq is always bullish with temporary pullbacks. Yeah. Danny, I didn't box this weekend. Nope, we had some fighters fight and some competitions. If you missed it, I did post it on here. I did post it on there's the X, and then of course here is the Twitter. So if you missed anything, I've been updating a lot on the socials right there. Let's see. We had some boxers fighting in a beautiful venue, actually. The venue was amazing. It was outside, it was under the lights, and the weather was beautiful. The venue was beautiful. It was picture perfect. I mean, yeah, if you missed it, go take a look at the Instagram and the socials. That it was there. It was a thing of beauty. I did not get a car yet. I'm planning to get a car this upcoming weekend, though, or this upcoming week. Within 7 days. My rental car needs to be back by Thursday, so I need to have a car by Thursday. Yeah. How's my XFAs? Not good, honey. Not good, honeycomb. They've been horrible. I took a loss Thursday night. Friday, it just got worse. No bueno. Where was the venue at? Take a look. Take a look at the picture now. Everything is posted on the socials. Long the Nasdaq. Oh, I had no issue. Manny, I have not used the 30-minute ORB strategy. Been used to scalp some holiday car deals this week. What holiday is coming up? By the way, let's take a look at the news. Let's take a look at the news before we start that session. We have 12 minutes, but I don't mind starting early. Let's take a look. Tonight is August 24th. Tomorrow, Monday, we have Fed speakers, some German information coming out, IFO. Tuesday, we have U.S. durable goods. That's obviously important. Consumer confidence, durable goods. Let's take a look. Wednesday is the big one. Wednesday's the big one, everybody. That should be highlighted red. That should be red, in my opinion. NVIDIA earnings. NVIDIA earnings call. That is going to be the Super Bowl this week. What everyone's probably waiting on, especially Nasdaq traders, tech in the Qs, right? That's going to be a big one. NVIDIA. I can't stress that one enough. So Wednesday after the bell. I mean, there's At the Buzzer with Coach Jay, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that one. How is that bigger than inflation data? Is that bigger than inflation data to some people? This is about as big as any economic event. Yeah, I know, Mark. That's why I said I would. To me, this would be a red. This is a red folder. This is a red event, in my opinion. Like, that's very big. Yeah, it's as big as inflation. I mean, that's all eyes on it. Yeah. Let's take a look at now. Thursday, we got jobless claims, U.S. GDP. I was going through some of this yields, Japanese. Friday, we're gonna have PCE, core PCE. So a little bit of inflation data, Chicago PMI. So it's not a boring week by any means. It's not a crazy week that we've seen. But we, of course, with NVIDIA on Wednesday, some PCE and U.S. GDP, ABC, DBE. We have some volatility this week, right? So we definitely have some volatility. We have news-driven events that can move this market, and it's not a light week. It's not such a crazy one, besides for the NVIDIA earnings, and then of course any headlines that could be popping up. It could change some things. That's for sure. That is for sure. So let's do this. I'm going to start it early. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull up this document. Maybe let's take a look. There it is. There it is. Here is our document. So let's dive into this. Might as well get started now. And while we do this, give me just 1 second. We could always watch. We could watch the Nasdaq. Shall we watch the Nasdaq? keep the Nasdaq here to, for those with maybe like myself, a little bit of attention deficit disorder where you got to be watching the markets and not just the chart or the PDF document. So there it is. Let's go through this. Like I said, this is going to be the strategy this week. What should we call it? What should we call this? This will be, let me make sure I get the wording correct. Should we just do strategy building week, right? Is that fair? Is that fair? We could bookmark it. We can mark it down. It could be strategy building week. So if you have any questions, DBA concepts. So strategy building week, I think we could just go ahead and label it as that. So that way, anybody who wants to go through and watch the recordings, they can. Or if you've missed this is recorded. So let's build this. We're going to start from scratch. Brand new, fresh start document. It's a blank sheet. If you're brand new, remember, I did the Top Step risk disclosure. It's in the YouTube chat. This is not financial advice. I'm not here to say, hey, this is a strategy, trade this. No, but the overall idea is to go through the structure of like how I see, right? Because there's no correct way and there's no wrong way, but how I would see building a strategy from scratch, putting it on paper, right? PDF, writing it down, going through the different concepts, maybe what you might want to focus on, maybe what you could adjust, maybe something that you never thought of, right? But this is basically the very beginning where if you're a new trader, I would start something like this, right? And now this is not an end-all be-all. So number one, I think a lot in sports, right? If you've ever played American football or soccer or, any basketball, any sport, that sports teams, they have a playbook, right? They have a bunch of different types of plays, and depending on the situation, they will run different plays, correct? Let me know if you're not understanding, but because I'm going to go a little bit quick here. Like I said, this is recorded. You could always watch this back. So that's the idea that I have when it comes to trading. We are traders, and we have to have the same. We need to have a playbook. And in that playbook, we need to have different strategies that we can call upon depending on what conditions we're facing, right? If the market's consolidating, maybe we have a strategy that can help us navigate a consolidating market. If the market's trending, then we could look in our playbook and say, okay, this is the type of market we're into. This is our playbook. Let's pull it up. Let's take a look at this strategy. So different situations in these markets, different market conditions can require different strategies from a playbook. And it's always best to just start with one. Start with one. Keep it super simple, right? Start with one, refine one, get good at one strategy, and then you can work on expanding. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to do just that. We're going to build one. We're going to build one very basic one simple one that I already have a little bit in my mind, right? Is this proven? I don't know. This is something basic. Like I said, this isn't financial advice. This is not something I'm saying is a strategy that you can just, hey, I'm going to make money with it, right? Doom Lord in here. So let's go through this. I have an outline that I'm going to kind of, a little cheat. I have a cheat sheet I've already built over the weekend. So I'm going to call this, and I'm a dip buyer, right? Buy the dip, sell the rips. I'm just going to go ahead and say this a pullback. This is going to be a pullback. So forgive me for my spelling, okay? I'm the worst with spelling. So I'm just going to just call this a pullback strategy. And this is how I like to do it. Like I said, feel free to follow along. You could go through and do it however the heck you want and customize it to your own, right? So this is going to be a pullback strategy. And remember, tonight is the very first night. I'm just going to rough draft. This is a rough draft. So just bear with me when it comes to anything. We'll polish this up. We'll get it fine-tuned. Any spelling, anything else. So pullback strategy. Yep. So let's go through. The number one thing in any strategy, to me, and in my opinion, is the risk management. So the risk management side, let's talk about that. Let's see if I'm gonna refer to my cheat sheet that I built out. Now this is just an example, okay? So number one thing for me is risk management. So we have to make sure we have a plan for the risk management side of things. Right there. So with the risk management side, what are some examples? Okay, first thing you need to know, how big of account size are you trading? Because to me, the risk management can very well, evolve around the size of account. So I'm just going to go ahead and 150K account, right? So that's step one. How much do I want to risk per trade? We're going to start with something basic, something simple. We're going to go ahead and do $200 per trade, and then a daily loss limit. I'm going to go ahead and like I said, this could be different for everybody else, right? $1,000 per trade. Now the reason why, not per trade, yeah, not per trade. We're gonna go daily loss limit. Now everyone's gonna be different, okay? Whether you're going to use contract sizes, whether this or that, depends on what products you trade, right? Because if you're going to trade $200 per trade, that could be a different contract amount depending on what product you trade. Are you trading micros? Are you trading minis? Are you trading gold? Are you trading Bitcoin, micro Bitcoin? Who knows, right? The contract size and things. I'm just very basic, customize it to your own, right? That's the main thing that we need to do. Go through, customize it. This is not a one size fits all. This is not a blanket, but this is hopefully the beginning of starting and just writing it down. And once you write it down, it's hopefully a lot easier to follow and a lot more difficult to break, right? So let's go through this. Now here's one thing that I wish I did better at in my this is a little bit more difficult to do, but take a look at this. If profitable. So if you're profitable, so if you made money, right? If you made money in the day, say we made $2,000 just today. We're trading and we made $2,000. Great, right? The daily loss limit is now plus 1,000. So basically a trailing daily loss limit. I like to have a trailing daily loss limit. That's a own personal thing for me where, oh man, it would have saved me a lot more money earlier when trading my live account here at Topstep. Was just having a daily loss limit's great. But then if you make money, say you make $2,000 and then you lose $1,000, right? You want to protect it. So, depending on the situation, it changes, but it's just saving, it's locking in the profits, it's preventing you from losing some of that money. So I don't mind that. Like I said, everyone's going to have their own customized setup. That's a good example, maybe a good structure of basic risk management. And you could go through here and make this as complex as you want. You could put more details in it. You could change this. You could change that. There's so much you can do. But this is just, as of right now, like I said, this is a rough draft. This is the very beginning of risk management. This is the basics of what I'm going to be starting with here as I start. So that's basically, let's start with that for tonight. Very basic, very straightforward. Let's go ahead and do risk management number one. So what do I like? I'm trying to think, make sure I'm going to put this on order. Since it's a rough draft, to me, I don't need to organize it very much. We'll have plenty of time this week to change things, to add, to take some stuff off. But right now is just kind of like a brainstorming. Just put it all out there. It's better to start and just start typing and putting it rather than being too critical of what I should put. Let's do this. I want to make sure I'm talking about this tonight. A pre-market routine. This is underestimated. This is definitely underestimated. Having a pre-market routine for me is big. So I'll go through mine because I have mine written down right here. So I always eat before I trade. I've noticed that. Trying my best to eat before I trade. I like to eat before I go to the gym and work out. I eat before I spar boxing, right? So that way I have fuel for my body, for my brain, through all that. Good morning, Nick. See, look, there's nothing wrong with that. Nick for taking the chat says use Chat GPT to write his. Yeah, you could use Chat GPT. You can use AI, right? Make sure you want to customize it to you, right? So I always eat, and you could go in detail. So for example, healthy food, right? If you wake up in the morning, you eat junk food, or you eat, just unhealthy food, then I have a tendency of just feeling like crap when I'm in the middle of trading. Last thing I want to do is feel like crap in the middle of a trading session. I just eat a bunch of sugar or eat a bunch of junk food, and then I'm in the middle of the trade and you just feel like crap, or you have to run to the bathroom and you're just not feeling 100%. I say we trade like athletes. We are athletes of the marketplace, and yeah, that's a big part of it. This isn't the right thing. I mean, I used to really big into this. I would sometimes take a sip of an energy drinks. But now it's more like tea. It's like tea every once in a while, like maybe a coffee. I like tea or coffee. Like that's also something. Every once in a while I'll have a tea or a coffee, right? To wake you up. I know a lot of traders and a lot of people, is first thing what they do, as soon as they wake up, they'll drink a coffee. They'll drink a coffee, wake them up, get them on that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Here's let's go through some more, because pre-market routine's even a bigger one. I need to give up energy drinks. I have a problem with them. I did too. They're very acidic, right? And I had a very bad habit. I would drink a little bit of bucked up or energy drink and notice I'm getting dependent about it. And if I don't eat and drink that, then I would crash or I'd get headaches. Of course, when you're drinking something very acidic, it's not good for your teeth either. And yeah, overall health, right? Overall health. So here's another thing. Going in depth. Now you could go in depth as all you want. I'm going to go through mine. This is some of mine, okay? Bathroom, right? I always need to make sure I use the bathroom before I start trading. The last thing I want to do is be in the middle of a big trade and then need to run into the bathroom, right in the middle of it. So always need to double check that one as well. The bathroom, a little bit of, I do stretching, meditation and stretching. Just relax, stretch. I try and stretch out my back, stretch my arms, make sure I'm ready to go. Because guess what? We're athletes, but we're sitting down. Well, at least I'm sitting down. I'm sitting down in front of a computer, and yeah, when your job is sitting in front of a computer, it can really suck when you just feel like you want to get up and walk your legs, or just long drives or whatever, but just something to get your mind straight, get feeling good. And then sometimes I'll do work, not all the time, but sometimes I'll do a nice workout, just not 100% workout. Here, I'll go through some of my workout is maybe you go running or for a walk, 30 minutes in the gym. And then, oh, this one's mine. I even actually shower. I like to shower sometimes. If I go to the gym, I always have to shower. I have to shower, feel good about myself. Sit at my desk stinky. No, I don't want that. And then next one. Now I'll be sitting at my desk, right? And this is a big one. Check for news events. Right? News events. You could use the or this one. Here's this one. Watch TopstepTV. Right? Hoag and the morning show. Right? Market prep. Honestly, I mean, it sounds good, right? It sounds good because I'm sitting here on TopstepTV. I'm sitting here and it sounds good. But honestly, even if I'm not here, even if whoever you are in the YouTube, like, it's nice to sit here and listen to someone else talk about the events that are going on, talk about analysis, talk about key levels, talk about like news that's coming out. Talk markets. I like to hear others' perspectives. I would do my own analysis, do everything first, right? Make sure we want to do that. Everything that we do is our own, and nothing, like I said, that's okay. Take everything that you hear from someone else, but make sure you're still following your own process. But make sure you're not going to be caught off guard by any events that were already planned. And like, for example, it's like, wow, I was in this trade and then something just shot up and I completely missed that there was a news event. However, Hoag was talking about it all morning. Hoag and Coach Jay, they were talking about how there was some inflation data coming out, and if I was listening to them, that would have prevented me from getting into that trade to begin with. So I messed up, or that, just being on top of it. So this is a good example of a decent pre-market routine. Now remember, like I said, any of these that I'm going over, this is just a rough draft. Like I said, 100%. Make it your own. Do your own morning routine. What's your morning routine? You go through, fill that out. You could add more. You could add less. It could be something even simpler. It could be more complicated. You can make it a full page and a half. Make it 3 pages. It's really up to you. You could, same with the risk management, right? Risk management, go through, do that same thing. You could add more, add less, more detail, less detail. It's really up to you. This is a pullback strategy. Maybe the pre-market routine doesn't even be in this. Maybe you have this on like for me, Coach DBA Trading or Coach Dakota's Trading, and this is on the Coach Dakota's Trading document. This could be in a completely different document. And then the risk management could be in the pullback strategy. But I always love to have a pre-market routine no matter what. So I could it's always just routine. Consistency and routine. Consistency and routine. They go hand in hand. Do the same thing, get the same results. What gets measured gets improved. Same thing. Yeah, DBA concepts, doomed Lord. DBA concepts. All right, let's go through one more. We have about 20 minutes. And let's do this. We're going to do the very first steps for tonight's, for the pullback, this pullback strategy. What's the first thing I like to identify when I am trading a new strategy? It is what time frames. You know what? I think this would be a better one. Where's that? Yeah, let's do this. Let's do market time frame, or what time frames? Time frames I think would just be good. We do trading time frames. All right, trading time frames. Well, everyone knows my trading time frames, right? We have the daily. What do I use the daily for, everyone? Major support and resistance. Yep. Next, what else do I use? Everyone knows this. I use the 60-minute. And everybody knows what I use this for, right? Usually market trends, support and resistance. Well, let's do this. Market trend, I look for higher highs, higher lows as an example, right? Let's see. 60-minute, sometimes I use as, yeah, we just do support and resistance. And then also volatility. Sometimes. Yeah, I think I could add that on here for my own. Because I use an ATR. I use an ATR sometimes. I'll go over that. I think this is a good example where I could go over it on here. I'm going to start this on the other page so it doesn't get cut off. So, all right, come on. There you go. It's all freaking out on me. So volatility. Chat already knows. Chat knows this next one. Then what? 5 minute. 5 minute. I'll do. What do I look at? 5 minute. We'll say technical patterns. We'll do entries, exits, trade management. So simple, straightforward. Daily time frame, major support and resistance. I could put maybe trend because I do look at the trend on the daily as well. I could do, because some time frames you'll use similar, right? So higher highs, higher lows. For example, major support and resistance. No, I don't use the 15-minute. No, this is primarily for slow markets, right? Pullback strategy, like slow markets. I mean, you could use it for fast markets too sometimes, but I'm not going to use the 100 tick, George, just because for simplicity. And like this is going to be as basic as it gets. Like I said, we have the rest of the week to fine tune it. Adjust, add stuff, entries, exits, excites. It's going to excite. That's pretty dang close, right? And now everyone's going to be different. What time frame do you use? Why do you use those time frames? What do you use those time frames for? Right? Like, what's the reasons for using those time frames? That's pretty straightforward. Now I know everyone's going to have it different. They're going to ask. There's probably a lot of questions. So let's go through with what I've put on here tonight. What questions do you have? Let's hear it. Any questions, chat? Let's go through. Okay. How do you find ATR? So let's go through this. I could pull back. Yeah, that's a good example. Good question. What is an ATR? How do I find it? So 1 minute is selling off, but indicators, ATR, average true range, right? Everyone's going to be different. If you use an EMA, you'd make sure you put an EMA. Put whatever you use on there. However you use your strategy. I use this. Yeah, how do you find entries? We'll go over it. Okay, don't worry, chat. That's what the rest of this week is for. Going over this. Like I said, we just did the rough drafts just tonight. First 30 minutes, we started to build the document. There's plenty of time to go over the rest. There's lots of time. So on my strategy, I look at the hourly chart. And I look at the ATR, and down here's the ATR, and this is how I determine how volatile the market is. Okay, how volatile is this market? Right now, it's at 65 points. this is the Nasdaq. So, we're seeing 65 points every hour. You can see that volatility spike every once in a while. We're kind of on the high end, throughout the middle of July, but not July, August. It was down near 40s and 50s. We see a spike, and then whenever we see big spikes of volatility, you can kind of get a better gauge, right? When we had that crazy volatility back here in April, you can see we were at 400 points, almost 400 points per hour through in April. And then as we started to, go through the summer. July was not volatile. July was very, very low. I mean, look how volatile April was. Insane volatility. And now here we are again. We're not as slow as July, and we're starting to pick up some volatility. It kind of gives you an idea, right? ATR is 65 points every hour, and it also helps me with expectations. So I have maybe decent or better expectations. Like, what should I be expecting out of the market? What's a realistic expectation in an hourly chart, and all that. So, like I said, we will be going through more throughout this week. That's why it's strategy week. I knew it would take a lot longer than just one session. 30 minutes. Sunday night. So we already just did the first 30 minutes. Tomorrow, I'm going to have Coach Jay on with me. Coach Jay, he'll be able to, he'll be with me. We'll go through this. We'll do another 30 minutes. He's going to join me as well, to where we could just talk through it. Maybe, pick his opinion or his mind on how he has his strategy. I know he has his strategy, and how he views these different things. We'll continue to build that document, have that conversation, also look for trades. And then, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night will be the final night. We should have a finished document. We should be able to have went through everything, answer lots of questions, and be able to just have this polished up, say, okay, now we can be ready to hopefully trade this, right? And maybe the following week I can trade it and see the results of what it looks like trading it. And maybe we could go through some examples and talk about different results and understanding the statistics side of things. Maybe make adjustments and go through what a trader should be going through, the ups and downs, and basing their decisions off of data, basing their decisions off of all of this. So yeah, how did you like it, chat? Let me know. Let's see you in the YouTube chat. This was a nice opener session. I appreciate it. Good. I hope it helps. Gold not moving. These markets, I mean, Nasdaq is selling off a little bit, right? We zoom in. Nice session. Yeah, good opening thoughts. I wanted to start at very basics for traders who are brand new, traders who might be struggling. Like, I need to step back. I've been trading. I found success, but you keep everything in your head. I was definitely one of those where I just had everything in my head. I just keep it up there. So I like this trade. It's explain it to me. Write it down. Can you write it on a piece of paper? I've never done that before. I just trade what I see, right? Yeah, pen to paper helps. It helps you identify it. It helps you identify. It makes it hopefully easier to follow your plan, right? It makes it harder for you to break your rules, and then maybe easier to not only follow your plan, but identify when you make those mistakes. It's like, oh, I made a mistake, and you could go through your plan, and maybe even print it out. I know some traders, they print it out. There's one guy who has not a laminated desk, but kind of like a see-through. What's it called? Not a mouse pad, but this big desk pad. I don't know. It just, like, you put your keyboard on it and it covers your entire desk, and it's see-through. And he printed his trading plan out on like it's 4 pages. It was like 4 or 5 pages, and he had it as a desk mat, and that was cool. That was cool to see. So I'm like, okay, well, you confident, you spend all that time building your strategy, and then you turn your trading plan, the 4 pages, 4 pieces of paper, into a desk mat. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. That's pretty cool. I mean, if your strategy, you've been training that strategy for a long time, you found success, yeah, why not? Maybe you could even get to the point to where, after you make so much money, like, hey, this is the strategy I used, and then you just frame it, right? Maybe it's like 3 pages. You frame those 3 pages. That's not a bad idea, actually. That'd be pretty sick. Just have your strategy framed in your office. People will look at that. That would be it's like, yeah, that's how I made my $1 million. That's how I made my $1 million last year. That's how I made my yeah. then they'll try and like take a picture and sign. Yeah. I'm gonna frame mine. I'm gonna sign it and then I'll sell it to the audience. You might not be able to trade because I could tell everybody in depth, in detail, word by word, my strategy, and every single person that can take it and trade it and have different results. Nobody can trade your strategy quite like you do, right? Yeah, no one could replicate it. I could tell. Yeah, there's been plenty of examples. I remember I did one when I was, I think when I first turned 20 years old, 20 to 21 years old. That's 10 years ago. I feel so old. Man, the guy I was working with, we did just that. We wrote down a strategy and we gave it to 100 traders, and every single trader, all 100, had a different result by the end of the month. End of the month. Same strategy, word for word, same document, and said, follow this. Every 100 trader had different results. It was crazy. It was insane. And the funny thing is, I think only three of the traders were profitable. 3 of those traders had a positive P&L following it. It was insane. It was eye-opening. I'm like, wow. And then those 3 traders, yeah, it's like everyone trading it differently. Everyone dealing with their emotions. Maybe they trade. Yeah, it was cool. It was weird to think. And then they were trading the same instrument too, and the technology wasn't great. But it'd be cool to see where everybody was placing their trades, and if we had the technology to see that and maybe do it again, would be amazing. Pretty amazing if you think about it. I think this is a great way to take pressure off you taking trades during slow market. I like it. Well, that's part of the plan. Just getting back. It's like, hey, how can I help? How can I help the audience? How can I help the traders? If there's no trades, we could sit here. We could have some fun conversation. We could talk about what's going on in these markets. We could talk about boxing. We could talk about trading mindset. We could do this class, right? We could build a strategy. We could do this. Answer questions. Like, there's so much we could do. Look at this. The boss on, I like this. Take a look at that. It says daily goal, risk $400, take profit $800. Weekly results: 4 wins, 1 loss, 3 wins. Go see the grandkids, because life still good after 5 losses. There you go. That's pretty cool. By the boss. Are you? Is this somebody that's listening now or tuning in to Slow Markets now? Definitely. After 5 losses, $800. Just screw it. Go see the family. gold pullback to fill IV. Yeah, if it Dakota, if you guys can see everyone's trade, this gives a pretty good idea about good system and winners. Let me see some. I can't. Nope, I can't see everyone's trades. No, 20-year-old deacon. Yeah, no, I love that. I'm gonna share this. Yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, let's go through the last 2 minutes. Hashtag slow markets. There's Craig, just floating TV screen or computer monitor. I don't know. That's cool. That's cool. Let's get through the last few more before we end slow markets. Let's go through. You guys know the drill. I got to give credit to the slow markets. Stop loss was extremely generous. I actually entered the trade at the prior opening OB. Trust my process. Let it trade play out to full take profit. Process over profits. Great work, David. Beautiful trade. It looks like he was trading the Nasdaq. Trading the Nasdaq. Trust the process. Trust the process. The markets are really good at making you emotional. Trust me. Yep. Trust me on that one. Markets can make you emotional. Make you Lenny the trade. Mess the trade up. And then at the end of the trade, you're like, if I wouldn't have just done anything and let my trade play out, it would have worked. I've been there. I've been there way too many times. Way too many times. So, yeah. We've all been there, right? We've all been there. Just took a good trade on the micro. Slow market calms me down. Okay. Yeah, it's a lot more slower pace. Now, well, I think we're coming to the end. Remember, trust the process. Go through, make it your own. Don't just copy what I was building. Go through, make your own. I will be on tomorrow with you, Doom. Me and you, Doom. Me, you, of course. Tomorrow's Monday morning. We will see how it goes. And yeah, Coach Jay with James D is going to be on Trading with Topstep right after that. Jay's also going to be joining me for slow markets tomorrow afternoon. And so we'll continue this. Tonight was the first night of the trading strategy week. We got quite a bit already done for that document. We'll continue to build it. So until then, I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. If not, tomorrow night with Coach Jay during slow markets. Bye.